Good evening and welcome to the Weekend Insider. As usual, we're with our experts Dave and Ian. How's it going, lads? Everything okay?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, so mate.
Yeah, I'm all right. It's a bit of a struggle, that. I wanted to say he was all right. Are you sure you're all right?
Yeah, we're all right.
Good. How's this week been? I know, Dave, you've had a little bit of luck this week, haven't you? Before we'll have a little look back at last week's tips and things like that. But I know, Dave, this week there's been a lot of sport on this week, especially football. Dave, you've had quite a good week bashing the old bookies, haven't you?
I have. I've had a belting week every day. I've won. I mean, I won on Liverpool on Tuesday. I got a bet. Do you know the bet builder? I got Mane to score anytime, and the fullback he was marking before the game. I put him to get booked on the builder, and Liverpool to win. I just fancied us. Different competition. So I won on that. I won on a goals galore last night. 160 quid off a fiver.
Nice.
With an injury time goal from 2 minutes into injury time from Blackburn that saved it away at Barnsley. The goal meant nothing for their game, but you know when it comes in,
Refreshing cash out.
Maybe we should top off running around the living room.
I tell you what, though, it sounds bad. I was so close to cashing out because the night before I also had another fiver on a six-fold goals galore, and it was just Luton I needed to score at home. They were at home. Who were they playing? Oh, I can't remember. They were at home, and they were Cardiff. They were 2-0 down. And I just needed them, and my cash out was 50 quid at one point, and I thought, nah, I've won on the Liverpool game. I'm going to let it ride. Yeah, Luton didn't score. So it's a miss whether to cash out again, but I let it run.
That 50 quid could have got you some new Borussia Mönchengladbach pyjamas, Dave.
Do you know what? I hate cashing out, you know. It's just, it's one of those things, isn't it, where
when it works, it's brilliant.
Bookies wouldn't have it if it didn't work in their favour more often than
without a doubt.
Do you know what I mean?
Without a doubt.
It's just an easy way for them to lay the bet off during play, innit?
It is.
I always just think, you know, for the sake of a fiver or whatever it is, just let it ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know, but again, it's like another bet with yourself, though, isn't it? You start thinking, well, if it doesn't come in, I'm guaranteed this money. It starts playing with you, doesn't it? And it's a bit of a nightmare, really. But what about you, Ian? You have much of a bet this week at horses, football?
No. I haven't done much this week, mate. I've been watching the footy.
No.
Unfortunately for me, not a great week for the Blues. We give City a bit of a game for an hour. But you look at City and they always look like they're in second gear, don't they? They're fantastic. Like, so I was waiting for them to step up, and it was a bit like watching like a Rocky fight or something. There's only so many body blows you can take, isn't there? Go down.
Ian, I also got on that game last night. I had Decore to be booked and Mahrez to score anytime and City to win. And that came in as well. So that was another...
That's a nice one, mate. And again, in hindsight, sounds simple, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The worst bet is the simple ones, the both teams to score. You think out of all them games, you could easily pick a few. Both teams to score. How many times you go to football, watch the football, and both teams to score? And it's like they know you've got a bet on and they don't do it.
I know. But mate, yeah, quite weak for me. Obviously, the racing got cancelled last weekend.
Yeah, it did, mate, unfortunately. But I mean, I wouldn't mind as well. They were nailed on winners, weren't they?
Well, we'll just class them as
every one of them.
Class them as winners, eh? Should we just class them as gone in?
Yeah, I'd say so, mate. So really, you're having a great time. 2 weeks out of 2, you've had loads of winners. I think you've only had one loser, so brilliant.
Yeah, technically speaking, no one lost from my tips last week.
What was spending our money on?
We're all going on holiday.
Dave, looking back to your bets and tips last week, it was a bit of a nightmare weekend with the racing and the football. There was loads of games postponed. I mean, Wigan was postponed 24 hours, and then it was delayed another hour, and then they had a fire in one of the floodlights at half time, so the game was never ever going to go on, and they finally got it on, and I wish they hadn't bothered because we got beat again. So, Dave, having a look at yours, your sixfold. I mean, I know we said it a few times. The early game on Saturday, stay away. You went one better this time with a Friday night, and straight away we was over by a 77th minute penalty, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'll be honest, mate. I was fuming. That sixfold was 26-1. Now, the 3 games that I put to win: Cardiff won 3-1, Watford won 6-0, Oxford won 2-1 on the Sunday. Then we had City the -1. They won 3-0. So that's 4 out of 6.
You called that one right, didn't you? City, Spurs to one of them.
But then we had the -1 handicap, and I watched that Leipzig game against Augsburg, and I swear to God, they should have been 3-0 up at half time. They had chances in the second half, but they conceded a penalty, and then they had even more chances to go 3-4-1 ahead. They didn't take them, so that destroyed the bet. But also Rangers let us down because we had them on -1 on the handicap. They only won
1-0, weren't they?
I tell you what, though, Dave, you were there or thereabouts, mate. That wasn't far off that.
No, I know.
And
no, it's not. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 6, and the other ones. I mean, Rangers to we beat them 1-0. I mean, that's you want to pick that. You thought that would have been more, and then a late penalty, and you just explained should have been 3 or 4-0 by half time. So really, I mean, I know we can't go to the bookies and say, well, we should have won. You know what I mean? They're not really going to pay out on that, but it's unlucky, that is.
Yeah, you've got your eye in, but do you know what, Dave? So obviously we had the early kickoff on the Saturday, let us down. Then you went to Friday. I mean, Chris, you might have to get this out pretty quick if he's going for Thursday this time.
I know, but he's won this week. He's won this week, so we might have to record this Monday night for Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays games instead.
Midweeks, yeah.
You'll be glad to hear I've learned my lesson this week. I've learned my lesson.
Right, okay. Okay, so on about giving tips out and stuff, lads, obviously Ian Newbury was off and you give your tips and things as you do each week, Dave, with the football, that kind of stuff. Now, I was reading, did you read that this week about Maxime Tissier?
Yeah,
the jockey.
Go
Have you heard this one, Dave?
No.
Unbelievable. So this jockey, you'd think I mean, we discussed on the first week about that nailed on tip that we got. Now, this jockey, Maxime Tissier, went into the bookies. He's just been banned for 9 months for this, by the way. He went into the bookies on Newmarket High Street, placed a load of bets, didn't even try to disguise who he was. He went in his silks, in his jockey outfit.
Chris, it wasn't in his silks, mate. It wasn't in his silks. He was in his training gear.
Oh, was it? I thought he was in his silks.
Well, he just got straight off the horse.
He was on a fake horse
with a whip. Tethered his horse up outside. Anyway, so he's gone in, he's placed over at a few different bets. He thought it was legal or okay within the rules for him to bet on races that he wasn't racing in, which in itself is absolutely ludicrous. Anyway, so he's put on, you'd think someone in the know like that, he's put on, let me get the figures right, he staked £1,205 over numerous bets, and he's still come out £501 down. So if he can't get it right, I mean,
we're doing all right. We're doing all right here, aren't we, in comparison?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mate, I'm going to come on next week's show wearing jockey silks.
I'm going to come as a horse. Nay, I won't.
I'll just come with my Hoffenheim pajamas on. Don't worry.
Oh dear. So that was in this week, banned for 9 months. Madness. Yeah. Which got me actually looking in this week at bizarre bets that people have put on throughout time. There was a famous one with Chris Kirkland and his dad, who had a bet for him to play for England or something like that they won on.
Yeah.
But same as other one. for another time. But they're unbelievable. How you'd think of them, you don't know. But some of them have come in as well at unbelievable money. The best bit is how they've managed to keep hold of the betting slip, because there was one bet I was reading. He put it on in like 1989. I mean, how are you keeping hold of your betting slip for that long? I don't know, but he did anyway.
Mate, I can't keep hold of mine for a day when I'm at Cheltenham.
Yeah, tell me about it. I know that. So this week I've had a little bit of a look, see what else is going on Eurosport at 3 o'clock. We've had we've had a bit of yachting. If you're into that. The Prada Cup was this week. I think the final
can't be too exciting, can it?
Oh, God.
Well, I tried to watch it. I couldn't grasp it at all. Couldn't get the rules at all. I mean, they were talented. Whatever they were running from one side of the boat to the other and stuff. But I didn't really get the rules, so I couldn't really follow that. But I think the final should have been Team Ineos UK, which is a UK team, obviously, against New Zealand. Now I think it got postponed due to bad weather. Whether they've redone it, I don't know. I might be wrong. I'm not that well up on me yachting yet.
Right.
What else has happened this week? The cricket last week, England got beat, so that's 1-1. In the series, India won by 317 runs. There's actually good boosts on India to win the series. They are favourite to win the series. I think the third test starts next Tuesday or Wednesday. They are favourites to win the series, and it's been boosted on Sky Bet to 11-8, which I actually think is a pretty good bet. That, yeah. So I think I might have a little tickle on that just for a bit of interest as well. Six Nations is still ongoing. England won on Saturday v Italy, 41-18. This weekend is Wales v England. England are favourites at 2-5. Wales 7-4. So that could be an interesting match. I'm not big into my rugby union, but England-Wales is normally already a good spectacle to watch.
Do you know what? It's the Six Nations as well, and you can't help but enjoy that. But it's normally better sitting with a pint of Guinness in it and watching it in the pub.
Well, with a drink of anything, it's going back to the thing of it gets a bit boring. We know crowds and stuff, and it just gets a bit boring in that really. Yeah. But so that's your odds with the Six Nations. England a little bit. I know they lost v Scotland. They're currently third in the table for the Six Nations. Last Saturday night, did anybody watch the boxing last Saturday night?
I didn't, Chris, but I was just about to say that was a shock, wasn't it?
Didn't go to plan.
Massive shock. Yeah, so I think I mentioned last week, Josh Warrington was saying he was expecting to beat the other fella within 6 rounds, and ever from the word go, he just didn't look comfortable at all. He was really struggling. Anyway, Warrington got knocked out and was in a pretty bad way in the end of it. He needed a bit of gas and air and things like that. In the ring, he's all thankfully all well and good now. But that was a massive shock, really. So if you've had a bet on the other fella, then you'd be quids in, because there was some really, really good prices on
Chris,
that.
Chris, on that one, do you think Warrington just didn't take it serious enough? Do you think he was a bit too underprepared?
I was watching a few interviews, and I think what they were saying was that they don't know whether, because he's been out of the ring for so long, and training camps have been interrupted, and they've not been able to box and get boxing on, unlike football's more or less gone right the way through. It's been tough, so whether he wasn't mentally prepared or... I don't know. I haven't got a clue. But
all that's the same for the other lad, though, isn't it? Well. All that's the same for the other lad as well, though.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. So whether he just prepared better for it, who knows? So, but it's a massive, massive result for him.
Yeah. Chris, where was the other lad from?
Was it Mexico?
So this question, man.
The thing is, it don't really matter where he's from. What my comment is, do you know? I bet they swept up there on the
Mexico.
Yeah.
Mexico, yeah.
So the people in Mexico we were betting, they'd have swept up on them odds because they'd have backed their guy no matter what, because they'd have thought, we'll take a chance on this. They'll know more about him than what we did. We're betting over here.
I'll make the sombreros and pinatas full of cash.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's what he fought in. Came in on a donkey.
I seen that Maxine Tissier sitting in the crowd wearing his jockey socks.
Oh dear. This weekend, a little bit of boxing on as well. Another good fight. If you enjoyed the boxing last weekend, another big fight on Sky this weekend. It's Josh Kelly is fighting. Bear with me. David Afanasyan, a big Russian. Well, it's not that big actually. They're welterweight, so they're not that big. but yeah, Josh Kelly favourite again at 8-11. The Russian is 11-10. But I think there's a good little bet in there. The draw, so they're not unevenly matched. The draw is 18-1. Now they expect. I had a little look for the fight to go the distance. To go the full 12 rounds is 8-11. So the bookies are expecting it to go the distance, and they're quite evenly matched in the odds. So it might be worth. I mean, I wouldn't go mad on it, but I think it might be worth a fiver of anybody's money for the draw at 18-1. This fight, they've been looking to get this fight on, and numerous things have happened for months upon months with lockdowns and COVID and all that kind of stuff. So and there's a bit of bad blood in this as well. They've had a bit of a war of words this week between the two camps. So it's a little bit nastiness. So it should all the makings for a really, really good fight. Now, Josh Kelly, if he wins this, he's a little bit further down the road to fight Conor Benn. Can't think of his name. So that should be another good matchup there. So it should be a really interesting fight. Even if you're not that into your boxing, I recommend kind of watching that. And I'll be going for a little punch on the draw at 18-1. So
Chris, on that, right?
Shall see.
Do you think it's worth sort of balancing that off with a couple of the boxers either want to win in the latter rounds as well?
Maybe, yeah. Well, so with the boxing, there's always great odds on round betting. And you can even group them as well. So like rounds 1 to 3 or 4 to 6, whatever it might be, there's some really good round betting for knockouts and things like that. And like I mentioned last week, actually on the day, have a little look at the boosts and what bookies are offering, because there's some real good value out there, I think. So have a little look at that if you're not doing anything Saturday night. If you can get the remote off the missus or something like that.
We get winnings from the horses anyway in the football.
Yeah, that's it. Use your winnings, roll your winnings on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, from the money you didn't lose.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. On to this weekend. I think we're at Ascot and Haydock this weekend, Ian, aren't we, with the racing?
Some good racing this weekend, mate. Actually, yeah, looking forward to it. And
good, and obviously, say that again.
Just a little matter of the Merseyside derby in the football as well.
Yeah, of course. Big. It's getting towards the business end of the football season. On the racing, eyes will be looking kind of over the shoulder to Cheltenham now as well, which we'll have a special for that in a couple of weeks. So we'll be looking at that, see any pointers we can get. Football wise, yeah, it's business end now, relegation, promotions and things. So we'll hand over to you guys. Ian, I'll start with you this week, mate, with the horse racing.
Caught me on the op there.
Why you got it nice and easy, mate?
Caught me on the op. Right, okay. Like we said, good racing this weekend. Looking forward to it, up to watch a fair bit of it. We've looked at a couple of races, one at Ascot, one at Haydock, and then the card that got postponed from Newbury last week is being run this Sunday as well. So what I have got here is a little reminder of what we picked out for Newbury. So we might get double bubble this week. So we've got some for Saturday and Sunday.
Nice, so do you still fancy the same ones? Obviously, you're going to go into it in a second, but do you still more or less fancy the same? Nothing's changed to kind of put you off anything.
Do you know what? I'll go into that in a minute. Nicky Henderson's been playing silly beggars again in one of the races, so I'll go into that on Sunday in a minute. He's
These are the views of Ian, not of HCTV.
So we'll start at Ascot. 150. Again, try to pick some races that are going to be on the TV. So anyone watching this can settle in and watch it on ITV Racing at the weekend. So Ascot 150. It's a 3-mile chase. It's going to be soft going. So you're going to need something here that's guaranteed to get the distance. It's going to stay. Ascot can be a tricky course. Got a bit of a stiff finish at Ascot as well. The favourite in the race is a horse called Severano. It's about 2-1. Should it be favourite? I'm not entirely sure. It hasn't proven it stays this distance yet, which is a big thing when you're running at this time of year. You know, you want something that's going to guarantee to get the trip first and foremost. I'm willing to take this on at 2-1 and look for a little bit more value further down in the race. Next up, you've got a horse called Fullback and a horse called Remastered. I can't really have Fullback. I just don't think that one's good enough to win. Remastered is a horse I quite like, actually, for David Pipe. But, I mean, I'm saying you need to get the distance. This horse looks very one-paced. He looks like a proper plodder. I think he'd be more suited to 4 mile in the mud, if you ask me. So 3 mile over Ascot. Entirely sure
How
what it
fast
needs.
would he be down Newmarket High Street?
What, with Maxine Tissier on board? So I'm not entirely sure Remastered's the one. So we're going to go for a 5-1 shot called The Machine or D Machine. It's going to be suited by the distance. It's going to be suited by the going. It finished in front of Severano last time. And obviously Severano's 2-1 favourite on this. There's a bit of a weight swing, so Severano's carrying less weight than it this time. But given the distance and the way this race is going to be run, I can't see Severano turning the tables. It's going to have to be a good performance. So I think the bookies might have this one priced up wrong. The stable's coming into a bit of form. Got a good few runners. And the one thing I do like about this as well, it's had wind surgery after its last run. So it came third in its last run, as I say, in front of Severano. And they've tweaked its wind. And basically all that means is it's a very simple operation on the horse to allow it to get more oxygen into its lungs as it's running. And they felt maybe it just came up a little bit too short. To me, it's a positive, that, because they obviously thought it was going to run better last time, and it still finished a decent third in front of today's favourite. So with a little tweak on its wind operation and coming back, it's won over this course and distance as well. I think the bookies might have this wrong. So Dream Machine, D Machine, not Dream Machine, D Machine, a 5-1. I think is worth a good shot. So that's going to be our first selection today, Chris.
Who's the trainer and the jockey?
The trainer and jockey are the jockey's Richard Patrick, right. And the trainer it's just out of my notes. Bear with me. It's a trainer that you won't have heard much of, mate. It is a person called Kerry Lee. Now, funny enough, associated normally with horses that like going in the mud, like staying distances. Normally, the stable normally turns out horses that are stayers. Over the last, but they don't have many runners either. So the last couple of runs this stable have put out, they've had a winner and a third. So fairly confident on that, to be honest. You know, considering it's a 6 horse race, and it's basically. It's near enough the outsider of the 6.
Ian,
right, okay.
I reckon that might be the if it finishes second, your money back with Sky Bet, that one, because that'll be one of the first races. What will it of the day there?
It's the second race at Ascot, so I don't know whether it'll play. It might do though.
Yeah, I'll have a go.
So you think
a 5-1, you can even back it each way and get first and second places anyway.
Yeah.
You think it's between that and the favourite?
It's hard to tell, mate. It depends how the race is run. There's a horse called Hurricane Harvey in it that looks like a one-paced plodder. Remastered will stay all day. Fullback will probably go from the front like most of Gary Moore's do. Severano will be tucked in behind. It's quite a tight race. I just think it's the best horse in the race, and I think they've got it wrong.
So
right, good insight, mate. Good. Just a little note on the wind operation there with the horse. If they don't see a problem, is it like a procedure that a lot of trainers or something would recommend to a horse to make them better, or is it just if they see a little bit of a problem?
Yeah, do you know what? It's a lot more common than you think, and I won't say it's trendy, but it's happening a lot more now, where trainers are just seeing it potentially is just running out of gas a little bit before it should do, and basically, I mean,
right.
But without going into too much detail, that how quickly a horse can fill its lungs up and transfer that from an energy point of view, it is basically how good and how fast a horse can run. It's the equivalent of petrol in the tank. So if they think that petrol
Did they do these on humans?
Do you fancy it, Chris?
Yeah, I could do with that, mate. I still play Sunday morning football. It might get me past 10 minutes.
Yeah, Chris coming back, he's had his wind tweaked. Jesus Christ. Mate, I think the thing on humans, you just pat them on the back, don't you, and just rub them till it comes out. Right, let's move on. Over to Haydock next. Belton race this, the 205 at Haydock. It is a 3-mile hurdle race. If you've ever been to Haydock or watched Haydock on the telly, you'll know it gets soft quickly. And it's really tough going there. They've got a Grand National trial later on in the day as well, so that'll be interesting to watch with one eye on Aintree in a few months. But it always takes some going. It's quite a... Horses tend to take to Haydock or don't. There's a horse called Bristol de May that's won the Betfair Chase there 3 or 4 times, I think it is now. 3 times. And it doesn't perform as good anywhere else. It's such a strange thing that horses tend to take to certain places. You know, on the front of it, you wouldn't think that would be a problem, would you? It's grass and it's green and it's either soft or it's not. And you know, but horses like different venues, and Haydock's no different to that. There's a horse called Itchy Feet. Just leave you to think of a comment there, Chris, of some sort while I carry on. Itchy Feet's favourite, and I can see why, sort of. It's the class horse in the race, so it's the highest rated horse. A couple of years back, it was nearly sort of dining at the top table from a hurdling point of view. It came third. I think it was third. Yeah, came third in the Supreme at Cheltenham, and it looked like it could be good. It never quite sort of broke that glass ceiling of reaching the next level of class. But ran in some great races. Then it moved over fences, and it's had 2 seasons over fences. And again, ran in some good races, some real good solid races against some good horses. It's reverting back to hurdles, and I can see why to a point. But after 2 years over fences and then switching back to hurdles, 2 years is a long time. And obviously it'll be Schoolwell at home. It's the best rated horse. But I'm willing to take it on in this to try and get a better price. There's a horse I really like called Ematom.
Sorry, just going back to that, do you think it'll be kind of not forgotten how to do it, but not be as fluent?
Yeah, so that's it. It's about fluency and speed. Because obviously if you think about it's basic, just common sense really. At fences, you're going at a slightly slower pace. You've got to jump at a higher trajectory, and it slows you down.
Do they play in Germany?
He's got the pajamas, and you know it's probably been schooling at home over hurdles, and it might not be a problem. But in a race situation, the higher that gets over its hurdles, the slower it's going to be, and that fluency might just be an issue for it. The horse I like, as I say, is a horse called Ematom. This horse is, where are we? Again, 5-1. This one, as we currently speak. It's so. First of all, it won this race last year. So we know it likes the course and we know it likes the distance. After winning this race, it went on to finish fourth in the Stayers Hurdle at Cheltenham. Right. So we know, again, it can mix it with sort of the top class horses it races against. Like Itchy Feet, they give it a go over fences. But unlike Itchy Feet, it's only had 2 runs over fences and they were both this season. And they've quickly reverted it back to hurdles. And I think they've realised that maybe its future lies back where it began. And it's a battler. It'll love the ground. And if Itchy Feet struggles, I think this is the one to pick up the pieces. And again, with Itchy Feet being 2-1, Emerton being 5-1, I think they should be closer in the market. So
Emerton could really sock it to Itchy Feet then, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, it's going to give it a go anyway, mate. Yeah. How long did it take you to come up with that? Have you been trying to get in that one?
Quite a while, actually. And that was the best I could do.
Have you just wrote socks on your notepad there? So,
yeah.
Do you know what, mate? I think a 5-1. I'm willing to back it, and there's another way of playing these horses in a minute, which I'll tell you from a betting point of view. So obviously, we're mentioning them as singles. You can back them each way because they're just about each way prices as well. Quick look at Sunday's racing. Newbury's card has been carried over from last week. So a quick recap. We looked at the 3 o'clock at Newbury. Now, you remember I was talking about a horse called Altior who was running in this. And you'll also remember the race after it. I mean, nap of the day was a horse called Champ.
Yeah.
So Champ was running over 2 mile 5 and looked head and shoulders. It's a stayer. It's going for the Gold Cup, which is 3 mile 2. It was a good prep race. Altior's in a 2 mile speed race. Nicky Henderson has pulled Altior from this race and moved Champ from the 2 mile 5 race into the 2 mile race that Altior was supposed to be in. So that's messed up my head completely.
What would be the reason behind that, do you think? Just to give it a bit of a run?
Yeah, so he wants it to run before Cheltenham and he doesn't want it to have a hard slog over nearly 3 miles. So he's saying 2 miles will sharpen it up and be really good for him. It'll help blow the cobwebs away. He's quite a headstrong horse, so that'll help him settle down going into his next run. Doesn't help us us when we're trying to beat the bookies, though, does it? Because
no,
you don't know whether he's planning on running the horse to win or whether he's running the horse for the sake of it. And not a big fan of that, to be honest, because this is a good enough race in its own right to get horses in there to merit giving it a good go. If you're jumping the last 2 lengths down, Champ's going to stay on all day because, as I say, it stays far further. What's been the jockey's instructions? Does he go at it? Does he give it a good go to try and win? Because he doesn't want to bottom. He doesn't want to bottom it out, does he? Going into Cheltenham. So
personally, I'd be staying away from that. I don't think I'd be backing it for that. In my head, I would say he's just giving it a bit of a run. It might go hell for leather to start, and then slowly drift towards the back and finish fourth, something like that.
So given the fact that that's vying for favouritism, I can't have that.
No.
So you may remember the horse that tipped up to back without Altior, so betting without favourite, was a horse called Fanny and Destraval. Yeah. So it's still in the race and it's 8-1. Now, the favourite in this is a horse called Grianatine. It's 7-4 to win this race. So just to put it into a bit of perspective, why I think Fanny and Destraval's over-egged from a price point of view. Fanny and Destraval finished 2 lengths behind Politolog at Ascot in its last race. In Grianatine's last race, it finished 7 lengths behind Politolog. Now, there'll be different circumstances and, the race was run in a slightly different way. But strictly speaking, on the form line, Fanny and Destraval's got 5 lengths to spare over Grianatine there.
Yeah. So that's a huge price, then, isn't it?
So at 8-1, again, it doesn't make sense. I think it's partly swayed by the fact Grianatine's trained by Paul Nicholls, Champ's trained by Nicky Henderson, and then you've got to go down to Fanny and Destraval, who's trained by Vanessa Williams. So it's not a sexy stable for these big races. So there's definitely a play in there. To be honest, at 8-1, I'd just go for a straight each way bet. I wouldn't mess around.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do it without. I wouldn't know whether to do it without Champ, whether to do it without Grianatine. You don't know how those two are going to run. So just go for it.
Yeah.
Go for that.
8-1. Yeah.
And then I'm not.
What price was that, Ian? Remind us that. Not price. What time was that in Newbury?
That was the 3 o'clock at Newbury Sunday.
3 o'clock Sunday. Yeah, lovely.
And then the last one for us, we reviewed the Betfair Hurdle, which was a 28 runner handicap. You may recall. So try to get us a couple of big prices in that. I won't go into detail because it could be all day. So Soar and Glory is 6-1, and Guard Your Dreams is 16-1. I fancy both of them. Shop around, because looking at the bookies, you'll get probably at least 6 places on that.
Right. Okay. Lovely. So what race is that, Ian?
That's the Betfair Hurdle or Newbury on Sunday. I think it's 3:35.
Is it? Lovely, mate. Absolutely. And I'll have a little look at them prices in a bit. Do you think it's worth holding on till the date for your best price, or getting them on early?
I think Sunday's still anti-post at the moment, so I'd wait until it was no run and no bet.
Right.
And for Saturday's races, I'd get them on. Depends on when you watch this. I'd get them on Friday. The play on these to build a nice little pot. D Machine in the 150, Emma Tom in the 205, and then Fanny and Destruval in the 3 o'clock on Sunday. If you can play place only, getting 2 or 3 places on them, you're probably talking at least 7-4 for all of them, and probably 2-1 for Fanny. And so a place only treble on that could look good as well.
Yeah, I bet it could. Yeah, that's a great little. I'll certainly be putting on there. Definitely brilliant. Nice one, mate.
So a few to look at there, lads.
Yeah,
I'll be
on, especially D Machine. The way you've explained that one, I really fancy that. The way you've broke it down and talks about the other runners. So yeah, spot on that, mate.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, Dave.
Yeah, nice. A nice treble for us there to celebrate with all week, isn't it?
The D Machine's going to be the nap, Chris, for the fantasy bet.
Yeah, so that's your main one, D Machine. Yeah, Ascot 150, currently about 5-1ish.
It is 5-1, mate. Yeah, it is 5-1.
Brilliant, good stuff, mate. Thanks very much, Ian. A brilliant insight as usual, mate. Dave, over to you for our football winners this week, please, mate.
The football, yeah, no worries. There's some good games. Because I'm not picking an early kickoff or a Friday night, but I just want to mention that this will come off now. I've seen it. Wolves and Leeds on Friday night. It screams goals, but I'm only mentioning it. Don't back it. I just think it'll be goals galore, but I'm not having it as part of the bet because it's Friday night. But knowing our luck now, because the last 2 weeks we've backed the early ones, that one will actually come in. So
I'm going to fill my boots on that now. I'm going to fill my boots.
I'm just putting it out there. So anyway, so this week, I just want to say, last week I did a Sky boost on Saturday morning. They do this every week, Sky Bet, and they do a boost of a treble. And last week it was Norwich, Watford, and I actually had them. Sorry, Watford, Cardiff, which I had in me sixfold, but they also had Norwich in it. So the treble at 15-2, and I really like that. I could just see coming off a mile, and it did. It was like near enough all in at half. It was in at half time, but by like a 2-goal distance. So
right.
That was a good boost. But you've got to be careful with Sky Bet with these boosts because they do the treble. And these 2 of the games that like are bang on, and you think, yeah, and then they'll pick one game where you're like, and you can't make your mind up. Like this week, they did one midweek, and I didn't back it purposely because they put Juve in there. They were away at I think it was Porto, or a Portuguese side, and I just didn't fancy them. So I stayed away from that, and it proved right because Juve, I think they got beat. They either got beat or they might have got a draw in the end. I don't know. But anyway, so this week, I've actually seen tonight when I was doing my research, I was looking on Sky Bet, and they've got another boost this weekend, and I think it's really good. And so I've had to mention it. It's 8-1. So again, they've got Norwich. They're at home to Rotherham, and I think that's definitely coming in. The second one is Huddersfield Swansea. Swansea to win. Huddersfield are having a nightmare at the minute. They got beat at home by Wickham last week. So for me, them two games, Norwich and Swansea, they're both givens, really. Now, this is the third one, but I'm going to back it. I'm going to take a gamble on it. It's Burnley to beat West Brom. Now, the reason I say that, Burnley are a decent side. West Brom, they like to play the game. They're not playing United this week or Liverpool, where they're going to sit back and they just got. I mean, I watched them against United, and they did do a job on them like they did on us. You know, they sat back, and they could have scored a couple more, to be fair to them. But they're so defensive. Now, Burnley are very similar to them, but Burnley are a better side than West Brom. So I'm going to take a gamble on that third game. And I think that treble at 8-1 is a really good price.
And that's only available with Sky Bet on the boost, is it, Dave?
Sky Bet, yeah. And I think it might be a maximum of a tenner. I'm not sure, but yeah. So I thought I'd mention that because I saw it and I really like the look of it after winning on the one last week.
Yeah,
so
nice.
So that's the win games. Now, you know I love my goals galore, so I've gone and picked out a fivefold for this week again. So we go into Germany, as we always do, for our first pick. This time, we're going for Frankfurt versus Bayern Munich. Now, Frankfurt have scored at home the last 7 games. So they do score at home. Bayern Munich, although they do win obviously a lot, and they always score. So you guarantee that Bayern are going to score. So I fancy them to both of them teams to score. Bayern drew 3-3 with Byfield in the week, so you know they are conceding, they are scoring. They've just got back from the Club World Cup, so whether that was a bit of tiredness. So I fancy that to come in.
Is that Saturday, that, Dave?
That's Saturday 2:30. So it's slightly earlier than the 3 o'clocks. Being after that.
That's standard though. That's standard Germany though, isn't it? That's not an early kickoff.
No, that's right. So the next one is Bristol City versus Barnsley. Barnsley is banging in the goals at the moment, and last time they played away, they won 2-0 at Brentford, and you know how well Brentford are doing at the minute. Bristol City at home, they've not scored in 2 at home. So you're thinking, well, why are you picking them? Well, I'm picking them because they're due to score at home. And in the previous 4 home games before this, they scored at least 2 goals. So they'll come back and advance. And Barnsley do concede. So that's my second pick. My next pick is Swindon versus Crewe. Now, Crewe, they did lose at they lost at Peterborough last time out, but before that, Crewe was scoring a lot of goals away from home, and they do tend to concede. Now, my only concern with this is Swindon scoring, because I think Crewe will. But I'm going to back it because Swindon need a win. They're desperate for the points. They're in relegation. I think they're 3rd from bottom, so they do need a win. So that's the 3rd pick. Number 4, it's the same as, I'm not going to go into this because it's exactly the same scenario as Swindon and Crewe. It's Southend versus Bolton. Both need Southend definitely need to score. Bolton do score away from home. And finally, I was struggling. I was looking and I was struggling. So I had to go to Sunday and I had to go to the given, which was Arsenal versus City. City, you'd expect to score. And Arsenal, they've hit a bit of form recently. I mean, they banged them in against Leeds.
I know ballsy that though, isn't it? Saying Arsenal to score.
I think that's good. All right, that. So you always fancy them, especially at home.
Look at Everton last night, and I mean, they scored one, but they did have a few chances.
Yeah, we did actually. No, you're right there. They didn't look as solid as usual, City, did they?
No, that's what I thought. So,
and Aubameyang's back. He scored, didn't he? He got a hat-trick, didn't he? The weekend.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah.
So the fivefold, if you want to back that on the boost with the old William Hill, 16-1 for the
nice, 16-1. And for people who don't know what Goals Galore is, because I think it originally started with Ladbrokes Goals Galore, wasn't it? Or Betfred, one of them. It's just simply both teams to score. If anybody was wondering what that bet is, it's just both teams to score. On some books, it's called Goals Galore. So 16-1, Dave. I like that. I don't blame you. I don't blame you moving over to Sunday for the Arsenal game. Yeah, I do. I like that again. Yeah, it's good. It's good, mate. I do like the Wolves and Leeds one, wasn't it? I fancy my double me both to score team to win a bit. Leeds away at Wolves and City away at Arsenal, both to score team to win.
I think that's a good double, that, Chris.
I think you should be getting good money on that. That should pay quite a bit. So you'd normally pay, I don't know, quite a bit, about maybe 14-16-1, something like that, for that double, both teams to score, team to win, 14-16-1, I'd guess. I've not looked at the prices, but that would be my guess. It's normally around that anyway.
Yeah.
Good. Any first scorers, Dave, that are flying off? We're recording this on Thursday night. Anything for tonight, tomorrow, anything like that?
I'll be honest, I've not looked again. I have actually backed. They'll be in play at the moment, and it's the 5 to 6 kickoff. So I don't know. And what time are we on now?
5 to 7.
I've got a treble on of Son to score anytime, Rashford, and who's the other English team playing at the moment?
Is it Chelsea?
No. Won't be a second. It is Leicester. Oh no, and it's Vardy I've got.
So they all started.
They've all started, and none of them are coming in.
We'll edit that bit out.
Hey, Chris, just before
Whoa, hold on a minute. No, Tottenham. Son scored first for Tottenham. That's in.
Nice.
So we need Vardy and Rashford. I don't know how they get if they come close to scoring.
Just before we knock off, Chris, one of the things I meant to mention before, in the race for Emerton, the second favourite in that race is a horse called On the Blind Side, which is another one of Nicky Henderson's horses. And he's got a few going to Haydock on Saturday. The stable jockey is a guy called Nico de Boinville. Now, under normal circumstances, with 3 or 4 horses going to Haydock, obviously Nico would go there for the majority of rides. He stayed at Ascot for what looks like one ride. It's in the very first race, the 1:15 at Ascot. It's called Galley Hill. So the fact that he's staying there to ride that, and I mean, just to give you an example, that Emerton race is worth 17 grand to the winner. He stayed in the Ascot race for only 10 grand to the winner. So he must be fairly confident that that's going to come in.
What price is that at the moment?
It's even money.
Right, okay.
So
that's the 1:15 at Ascot, yeah?
Yeah, so that's definitely, if you're throwing in a couple of accumulators on or whatever, or if you're the type of person that bets big on an even money, that's well worth one looking at, because I think Nico staying there
speaks for itself, innit?
Yeah, it speaks volumes, really. I haven't really looked in depth at the race, to be honest. I've just picked up on that he's staying.
Nice, good, nice little insider there at the very end. Brilliant, lads. Once again, great insight, great research. I have the easy job. I just sit here and listen to your tips and win on the end of them. So it's all brilliant. Thanks very much for your time again, fellas. We'll get these on. We'll have a little look, see what other sports are on this week on the Eurosport at 3 o'clock. We'll go through the betting. Dave, what's your favourite of the weekend? What's your nap of the weekend?
I was just about to interrupt you, mate. You forgot about me then.
Yeah, I did.
It's funny you should mention your double before. So I've gone for City to beat Arsenal and both teams to score.
Yeah.
And Bayern Munich to beat Frankfurt, both teams to score. It's not great odds, if I'm being honest. It's only 7-1. But obviously, with the lower odds, they obviously think that it's a good chance.
Yeah, 7-1.
I'm going to argue with a 7-1 winner. That comes in, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brilliant, lads. Fantastic. So I've got all the bets down there. We'll keep an eye out. I'll be definitely putting my money on those at weekend, and we'll see how we get on. Once again, thanks very much for your time, fellas, and I shall speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.